Yeah, so that Shake Shack squatter, the ones who said, here's a receipt that we had some food delivered, gave him a valid reason to squat in a home. No, says the judge. You're going to be indicted for burglary and identity theft. That's literally what we're talking about today. And I say good. I think they should be thrown in jail, but that's never going to happen because this is New York City, and New York City is super permissive, right? Let's go ahead and read the article. Okay, a squatter who tried to use a Shake Shack receipt to prove legal rights to a Queens home was indicted on charges including burglary and identity theft. And it looks like they're facing 15 years in prison after locking the homeowner out. We'll get to that. But yeah, Lance Whitehunt, 24 of 18th Street in Brooklyn, went so far as to sue the actual homeowners, Dennis Kurland and Julia Fulman, back in March to cement his legal right to live in the $930,000 home on Lakewood Avenue. Now, one of the things the judge said was, hey, if you haven't legally obtained rights to this home, you can't sue anybody. That's not how this works. So even in New York City, you're going to have a little pushback on something like that. But the squatter, I'm just going to straight up call him an illegal squatter, right? Because that's what these folks are. But the squatter's plan backfired, and he has been hit with an 18-count indictment that could put him behind bars for 15 years if he's convicted. Good. I say let's give him an extra 10. Let's put him in there for 25 years. Make a real example of him. Yeah, that's never going to happen. This is happening in Queens District Attorney's Office. But the fact that he's being indicted, hey, that's a step in the right direction, right? Look at this home. Let's take a peek at this home. You've got basically a split level from here on down. You got basement, garage, maybe 400 square feet. That's 22 by probably 21 in the back. You've got your family room. You've probably got a bathroom back there. You've got living room, dining room, kitchen, maybe on the main floor. And then we've got a loft upstairs. We've kind of got a third floor. So it's a split level with an extra floor. Interesting. So you cannot claim rights to a home that you have entered illegally. That's what the district attorney, Melinda Katz, I guess it was the district attorney, not the judge. You can't claim rights to something that you got into illegally. My office will not allow individuals to capitalize on the confusion surrounding squatters' rights for their own personal gain. Got a little bit of a pushback here going on, just a scooch of a pushback. Good, because this stuff is just absolutely ridiculous. You need to be throwing these people out and prosecuting them, right? They're just getting so brazen. Like that illegal immigrant who, he's got some issues with ICE now. He's got a little ICE issue, right? Now, the U.S. Customs has said, we need to see you, Junior. If you're not familiar with that storyline, it was the kid who told everybody, hey, I'm from Venezuela. Come to the United States because we can squat in homes that need help. We can squat in them, take possession of them, fix them up and sell them for a profit. I mean, just absolutely backwards. But I think what happens is then other people are like, hey, maybe I could squat and get myself a house. Housing's expensive. Why don't I just squat and get myself a house? Yeah. And so that's why you've got these just ridiculous situations going on. And then on top of that, and this is the real kicker, you've got tenants' rights that have just gotten wildly out of control. And that's the real deal, right? That's the real issue. All the rights have gone to the land, gone away from the landlord to the tenants, except in states that have reasonable leadership, like Florida, like Texas. Yeah. We will bring criminal charges and secure indictments, not only for the unlawful occupancy, but also for any forged documents used in the commission of the crime, she continued. The law does not permit illegal residency, and we will continue to prosecute such cases in Queens. All right. Yeah. New York is pretty pro-tenant. Whitehunt is facing charges of second-degree burglary, 2 counts of second-degree criminal possession of a forged instrument, 5 counts of first-degree identity theft, attempted grand larceny, and other crimes, and a partridge in a pear tree. He's scheduled to return to Queens Supreme Court on June 11th. Can't wait. Here's Here is that receipt. Hey, this this is just so bad. I mean, it's just so bad. You ordered from Shake Shack on Jamaica Avenue in Queens, and you had it delivered to this address. Literally, this was one of the pieces in this case where the tenant or the squatter, not a tenant, he didn't have any tenants' rights, where he broke in, took possession of this home, and then one of the pieces that he used to try and convince the judge and everybody else, the police and everybody else involved in the deal, in the squatting attempt, was that he'd had food from Shake Shack delivered to this residence. Yeah. Can you order a pizza and then claim that you have possession? Hey, I need to get my title on over here. Could you guys just transfer title to me? Because, I had a pizza delivered. Yeah, absolutely absurd. But people get in their head after seeing all this squatter stuff. Hey, I can do that. I might be able to get away with that. I could do that too. Hey, just send a pizza over there. Yeah, it's mine. It's mine. No, that's not really how this goes. But yeah, you know what? You don't even have to have a receipt from Shake Shack. We've got a guy. We've got Jimmy and his squatter who did have tenants' rights at one time, but whether you have pizza delivered or not, or you have a Shake Shack, when you have literally just broken into a home and taken possession, yeah, there might be a little bit that the police and the district attorney disagree on as far as your rights to occupy said real estate. Whitehunt and his accomplice, Rondi L. Francis, made headlines in early April after they launched their dubious lawsuit, which a judge has since dismissed. But you have to go through that process. The landlord here, the owner of the property, he's had to spend thousands of dollars combating a completely illegal lawsuit. That's how bad this stuff has just kind of gotten out of control. As part of the suit, the pair submitted various pieces of evidence, including an application approval letter. Hey, we were approved. Yeah, you made it up. A rental lease, which they made up, mail addressed to them. You can send mail wherever you want. You can stick an address down there. The U.S. Postal Service will deliver it. That doesn't mean that you've got a right to squat in said premises. And then the infamous Uber Eats receipt for $25.27. It purportedly showed that they had food delivered to the house months before. You know what? I give them credit though. I give them credit. They must have been looking around going, these are the receipts we got. This is the stuff we got. What could we throw out a judge? Could we throw out a judge in the form of a lawsuit? What about a Shake Shack receipt? Genius. Got the address on it. Hey, that means we owned the house, right? That means we had possessed rights to the home. Yeah, not so much. Not so much. Here is, so they had mail sent to them. Urgent notice, 2024 benefits review for New York City residents on Medicare and Medicaid. Open and reply within 4 business days. Is this official? Probably not. It's just stuff, right? And you can get stuff mail-wise delivered to any property anywhere. And if, the actual owner of the home and the tenant of the home, the actual person who's supposed to be living there, nobody's there, then they write on it, return to sender, and it goes back. Has nothing to do with possession of real estate, does it? But you know what? It's a good try for. It's a solid try for. Then we need to go, if you're in New York and if you wanted to read this, it's some good information there, but it's super basic. So how does someone become a squatter? Well, you just take over the property. The documents were meant to establish their move-in date, since New York City law declares squatters must only occupy a property for 30 days before they're eligible for legal protections that make it difficult to evict them. Now, when this stuff got started down these crazy train roads, these shenanigans of squatting, they were meant to protect the legal tenant, right? All right, if you've been in there for 30 days, you've got rights. Oh, yes, we do. Well, now that the squatters are like, hey, if I break in there and nobody really sees me, maybe I can squat in this forever too. Maybe I can squat and get this done. Take over for 30 days. And then law-abiding citizens are going, wait a minute, that doesn't seem all that fair. Only 30 days? What's going on here? The pair wanted the court to make Kurland and Furman give them a front door key or give them permission to change the locks on the home that they basically broke into and we're trespassing and we're stealing. This is stealing. You are taking possession of somebody else's property. But the landlord laws, tenant laws have gone so skewed that this is what we've got. But the actual owner told the Post that the documents were all fake. Even the Shake Shack receipt? Oh, I don't believe it. No, it can't be, right? Now, that's probably true. I mean, they were lazy. They're squatters and they're lazy. Hey, let's get some food delivered here. I'm kind of hungry. Everything they're presenting is fraudulent, Krilian said, with Fullman further claiming that the documents are clearly photoshopped. But you still got to go to court to go through that process if somebody's thrown a lawsuit up against you. The district attorney said in her statement that the owner's real estate broker made regular trips to the property after putting the house up for rent in February of 2024. But a few weeks later, the broker noticed someone had changed the locks and she saw Whitehunt inside, according to the district attorney's office. What are you doing in there? Who are you? Right? I mean, they're just looking through the window. Absolutely nuts. Oh, we're just eating our Shake Shack. See, here's the bag and the receipt. She called the police and Whitehunt told officers that he'd been living there since January. As proof, he handed them a rental lease signed by the broker, who took one look and said that she'd never seen the document and that the signature was fake, according to prosecutors. You know what? When cops show up, they don't know, and that's why they leave it up to the courts. Hey, I don't know who signed this. I don't know what happened. You guys work it out in court. And then the cops walk away and, the legal owner of the property, the one who has the possessory rights, is left hanging. They got to get these people out. Unless they, come up with some little magic system of their own, they're stuck with these people living in their home because police won't do anything. It's a civil matter. It's not a criminal matter yet, right? Later, Whitehunt handed cops phone and electric bills as proof of residence, but the phone and electric companies confirmed that they were also fake. You know what, guys? It was a good attempt. It was a good try. I take my hat off to you. At least you made the effort. You made the effort. You're not the brightest criminals in the system, but all they're trying to do is just buy some time. Hey, this is better than living on the streets. We're just going to squat here, do our drugs, do our crazy stuff. Were they doing OnlyFans? Were they doing OnlyFans like I think we had going on here in Seattle? Who knows, right? And they were renting out rooms to people to film OnlyFans content because you can't film that in a tent, I guess. I think you could, but it would look rather suspect, wouldn't it? Hey, these people are always camping. People are always camping. Yeah, that's weird. That's strange. Huh? They never have a house. They're just always in a tent doing their thing. Whitehunt sued the homeowners LLC and the broker, but the court later determined the lease he handed over was different from the one he handed cops. Uh-oh. He got caught a lie with a lie, right? Oh, yeah, this one isn't legal. That means, that lease over there, not legal either. District Attorney Detective Bureau arrested him on May 13th. Throw him in the clink. Send him to the gulag. Give him 10 years to life. I don't care. Just give him some time, right? Let him cool his jets. You need more of these stories to basically combat all of this ridiculousness that's out there. Hey, come to America, take over homes. It's all good. It's perfect. Now, you need major pushback on that. And you can see from this storyline here just how brazen these people are. They're just making stuff up willy-nilly left and right, just cranking stuff out. Hey, let's do this on the computer. This'll work fine. And to a certain extent, it will. Cops show up. Hey, guy just handed me a lease. I don't know. It's not the police department's responsibility to verify said legal document. It's not how the game goes, right? I wish it was. Back in the olden days, you used to be able to just tell a cop, you know what? This is my house. This guy's breaking in. Get him the F out of there. And you know what the cops would do? Go grab him by the scruff of the neck and drag him out and throw him out in the street. But that's not how life goes anymore, right? We've shifted way too far to tenants' rights, which include, unfortunately, and in New York City, after 30 days, they've got legal rights. So, just some nutty stuff going on. I had conversation. This is how bad the squatter thing has gotten. I'm a managing broker. I'm the owner of Summer Properties Northwest and also a real estate appraisal company, Reynolds Klein Appraisal. Thank you for all who sent your business our way. So I had conversation with one of my brokers. We were sitting down going over basically, situations with making an offer and how so many of these offers are approaching multiple offer situations, and the buyers and the buyer's broker have to basically waive all of their requirements of the seller. Like, hey, we'd like to allow us to do a building inspection of the home. We would like you to allow us to make this transaction contingent upon our ability to get financing. Meaning if the bank says, no, you don't qualify for financing, the poor buyer doesn't lose their earnest money deposit, which in the Seattle market right now is like, $15,000 on the shy end of things. This is kind of your good faith deposit. $25,000 is common all day long, right? So you're going to chunk up a check for $25,000, have it sent to escrow. It goes towards your purchase unless, you can't work out your financing or one of these things, and you can get out on a contingency, whether it's a building inspection contingency, a neighborhood review contingency. I don't like the homeless camp down the street. X-nay on the neighborhood review contingency, any of those things. But what has happened is as the market has heated up and there's still so little supply in the marketplace, if you've got 15 offers on one home, which is common, 10 all day long. If you've got something that's priced adequately here in the Seattle market, it's going to have a bunch of offers because you've still got more buyers than you have properties. You've just got all these sellers who are sitting on their homes with their super low interest rates, and they don't want to go out and buy that next home at 7% when they're sitting on 3% money or 2.75% money or whatever it is. So every deal that goes through right now, it seems like is having these multiple offers. And what that does is it makes an offer situation where the buyers basically have to give up all of their contingencies because oftentimes they're competing with the cash offer, and it's the best terms win the deal. What I call the winners are losers, meaning the winners have given up all of their protection as a buyer. They've bid up the very highest price, and they've left themselves with absolutely zero contingencies, and they don't know the condition of the home, and they're just taking it as is because things are so competitive. So long story short, one of my brokers came up with the fact, well, on this transaction, the seller wants a short lease back. They want a rent back, meaning they're going to sell the home to the buyer. The buyer is going to let them stay in there for a week. It's not uncommon. Closing plus 3 days used to be common in the Seattle market. Now it's basically closing. And what we're talking about is possession. All right. So you close here on a Friday, you get the house on Monday, you allow the sellers to move out. That used to be pretty common. Now it's more possession on closing. Seller gets out before closing. And then the day that the money goes from the buyer's lender to the seller, seller's got it in there, and that deed gets recorded at the county recorder's office. That is closing. And that's when possession takes place. But now you've got these situations where the seller, on top of everything else that they're asking for, hundreds of thousands of dollars over list price, buyer, you can't make it subject to financing. You can't make it subject to neighborhood review. You can't make it subject to this, anything, building inspection, whatever. And on top of that, we're going to need to rent back the house from you for free after you own it for a week. And the conversation I had with my broker was, my buyer doesn't want to do that. They are absolutely freaked out about squatters taking possession. So the conversation I had was, well, what does that actually look like? And in the terms of a real estate transaction, it's pretty low odds that a seller who's just gotten, possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe millions, depending on what the house is and when they bought it, is going to turn around and squat. You know what I mean? The odds are just not high. But there's also this notion of this kind of ridiculousness here of somebody who's willing to go the extra mile and make up receipts and make up, have mail sent, that they could tie a house up for a long time. And that is true. Once somebody gets in and takes possession of a home, possession is 9/10 of the law, something like that, right? You don't have to actually own it. You just have to be in possession of it. Meaning if you broke in, you get a few pieces of paperwork together, the world is your oyster. You're going to be able to have run of the land, right? And it's actually pretty true, especially if you can stick it out for 30 days. I don't know how long these folks were in the home, but it's another really good example. And this is what people are thinking about when they're putting these real estate transactions together is my client doesn't want anything to do with a lease back situation. Just don't want to deal with it. So, tell your seller, no, we're not going to do that. But here's what happens. So say that buyer has competed against another buyer and they are neck and neck on price. They are neck and neck on closing date, meaning they're both going to, allow the seller to close whenever the seller wants. They've agreed to the right escrow company. They've agreed to this. They've agreed to that. They're not making it subject to financing. They're not making it subject to a building inspection, meaning they're just taking the home as is. They've got no, defenses for their, side of the equation. They're just basically buying the home and writing a check to the seller and saying, hey, I'll take it. But what happens is that if they're competing against somebody who is going to give that seller the rent back for free, not charge them any money, that's the person who's going to get that's the winner. That's also kind of the loser in the big scheme of things. Because I don't believe buyers should be buying homes, waiving their financing contingency. I don't think they should be buying homes, waiving building inspection. It's just not right. But the reality is if you make your offer subject to those things, you're probably not going to get it. And that is what is happening all day long here in the greater Seattle market. You've got this whole group of buyers out there trying to buy something, but because they don't either have full cash to buy something, or they need to do a financing contingency, or they need to do a building inspection because that's kind of, what they've had ingrained in them and they're not willing to give that up, they're not getting the home. And their real estate brokers, whom I am counseling as their managing broker, are getting fed up. They're like, yeah, what's it going to take to win an offer? That's the conversation I have. And I'm like, well, I call it going in naked, meaning you strip away all of your contingencies. You take everything off. You're just, hey, look at me, highest price in the world. We're going to throw this in and we're going to have zero protection, clothing being the protection, right? You got none of that. None of that. We're just going in and we hope that we get it. That is what it's taking, to win an offer. And that's why I say the winner is sometimes the loser, because now they've got a home. They don't know about the condition. They don't know anything, and there's all these different things that they haven't been able to ascertain that you could normally get away with in a more balanced market. But that's not what we're dealing with. And this is happening all over the United States right now because there's such little supply and sellers aren't willing to move off of that, off of their interest rate. So, it's a terrible situation for the buyers, but it's kind of like it is what it is. But that is also impacted by all these notions and these storylines out there, including this one right here, where people are like, yeah, but what about that one with the Shake Shack, receipt? What about that one? Totally valid. We just heard what that story was. We just heard what they're facing. This is New York City. This is Queens. Will that person get any time? Nah, they'll probably get some kind of, they'll get some kind of probation. 3 years, ankle bracelet, no breaking into homes. Something just absolutely absurd like that, because that's how this goes, right? But there's also enough pushback out there. Maybe they get lucky and they get a conservative judge in Queens. I don't know. Is that a thing? I don't know, right? And and the judge will throw the book at them and they'll, do 15 years. I don't see that happening. Be real honest with you, right? But this is what's going on out there. So that's why I wanted to kind of tie all these little bits and pieces together. And so now next time you make an offer, we'd like you to do a rent back to us as the sellers. No. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. Love to have you subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.